Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we're going to do something really exciting. We are moving way beyond just keeping a simple text file of your radio contacts. Seriously, let's dive right in and explore how to build the ultimate fully modular command center for your Radio Shack using the SWLog suite. If you're looking for a setup that scales from just a single PC all the way to a multi-room AI-powered home lab, well, you're in exactly the right place. But hey, before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just take a second and consider the year 1988. Now, what's really interesting about this is that 1988 is the year SWLog actually first appeared. Think about that. That makes it the absolute oldest, continuously maintained radio logging program in existence. So we aren't looking at some fly-by-night piece of software here. No way. This is an incredibly robust system built on literally decades of authority and feedback directly from the DXing community. It started out with shortwave and just kept expanding, and now it automatically handles everything from your AM and FM broadcasts all the way to complex amateur radio modes.
All right, here's our blueprint for today. We're going to cover, number 1, the foundation, 2, core logging, 3, local radio control, 4, web and remote, and finally, 5, advanced integrations and AI.
So let's start right off with section 1, the foundation, looking at databases and architecture. Now, to really wrap your head around SWLog, you gotta understand that it's an entire ecosystem, not just some single desktop file you double-click. We've got a really clear division of labor going on. SWLog itself acts as the command center, right? It's the user interface, kind of the nervous system linking up your radios and web clients. But the actual brain of the whole operation, that's Microsoft SQL Server. It's this powerful relational database where every single piece of your radio history gets securely stored. And actually, by separating that brain from the command center, you unlock some unbelievable power. It literally means you can run a multi-PC home lab or even access your home shack remotely from a totally different location, just using standard TCP/IP. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait, SQL Server, isn't that super heavy on resources? Well, not at all. SWLog uses SQL Server Express, which is actually the perfect choice here. Unlike those massive enterprise databases that just hog all your RAM, SQL Server Express brilliantly cooperates with the Windows Memory Manager. So when your shack is quiet and there are no queries running, it actively shrinks its memory footprint, handing all that RAM right back to your operating system. It drops down to a microscopic 50 to 100 megabytes of usage when it's idle. Honestly, the main takeaway here is that this is a super lightweight engine, and you can absolutely leave it running 24/7 on your Shack PC without it bogging down your other apps. Moving right along, let's jump into section 2, core logging, mapping the world. So when you're out there logging global contacts, geography can actually get surprisingly complicated. SWLog relies heavily on visual maps. But the thing is, map makers use standard political geography, and as we know, that doesn't always line up with amateur radio standards. Take the real world, for instance. Alaska is politically part of the USA, and Ceuta is politically tied to Spain. But in our amateur radio world, we use ARRL DXCC entities. So what brilliantly happens here is that SWLog just automatically handles all of this complex translation behind the scenes. When you log a station or bring it up on your Esri or GIS maps, SWLog instantly maps those real-world political boundaries straight to the correct DXCC entities. Your logs are always spot-on accurate, and you never even have to second-guess the geography. Okay, time to plug in the hardware. Let's step into section 3, local radio control. All right, so this is where your computer actually starts talking to your radios using the Radio Control desktop program. And you've got 2 main ways to interface here. First up, native interfaces. The author actually went in and wrote the serial port protocols directly for premium rigs. We're talking ICOM, Flex, Yaesu, and various SDRs. This is what's going to give you the absolute deepest, most direct feature integration. But hey, if you're running an older or maybe a more obscure rig, don't worry, you're totally still covered. You can easily use third-party bridges like OmniRig or FluRig via XML RPC. That ensures you've got broad compatibility across pretty much any piece of hardware you might have sitting on your desk. And for all the software-defined radio fans out there, you are definitely not left out of the party. SWLog has some really slick, dedicated plugins specifically for SDR enthusiasts. Like if you use SDR Sharp, there's this virtual serial port plugin that syncs everything up perfectly at 57,600 bits per second. Or if WinRadio is more your speed, you just drop in the RCS Bridge plugin. What does this actually mean for you? Well, it means you can just click a frequency right there on your SDR waterfall and boom, it instantly tunes and logs it straight into SWLog. It is an incredibly fluid experience. Awesome. Let's keep the momentum going and move to section 4, web and remote, where the world is your shack. You know, taking your Shack remote, say you're doing a POTA activation, or maybe just sneaking in some logging from a hotel room on a business trip, that can sound pretty technically daunting at first, but let's completely demystify it. This remote web architecture is actually built on 3 super manageable stack software layers. Step 1, you simply enable the SWLog API server, so your main database can talk to the network. Step 2, you configure the radio control server, just using some really simple JSON files, and that handles the physical radio commands. And step 3, you launch the web control server, which serves up the actual user interface via WebAssembly. You literally just stack those 3 together, and suddenly your Shack is instantly accessible from pretty much anywhere. And man, once that ecosystem is up and running, the features are just fantastic. You can control your rig right from the web browser on your phone or your tablet. Plus, because the radio control server uses a RESTful API, if you're a bit of a coder, you can even whip up some Python or PowerShell scripts to control your gear. There's also this incredibly handy virtual dummy radio included. It's absolutely amazing for safely testing your remote setup without running the risk of actually keying up your real hardware. Now, one super crucial warning before we move on, if you happen to be a Microsoft Edge user, you absolutely must go in and disable enhanced security for your local host URL. If you don't do that, I promise you, the WebAssembly interface is going to lag incredibly slowly. But wait, remote control isn't just for your live tuning sessions. Let's talk about the modernized audio encoder. SWLog can literally act as a DVR for your Shack. You can actually schedule your VFO to automatically tune to, let's say, 11,820 kilohertz at exactly 0200 UTC, record a specific shortwave broadcast, and just save it for you to listen to later. Oh, and it natively manages M3U and PLS playlists, so it essentially doubles as a full-blown media player for all your captured audio or even internet streaming stations. All right, let's step into our final section, number 5, Advanced Integrations and AI, building the next-gen Shack. So if you operate any digital modes at all, you are definitely going to want to jot down this number. UDP port 21689. That right there is the magic pipeline inside SWLog. Whether you're running WSGTX, JDX, Grid Tracker, or VARSAC, literally all you have to do is point them to forward their UDP packets over to port 21689. SWLog will automatically catch those broadcasts, instantly log your contacts, and it'll even automatically stamp them with your active POTA or SOTA Park IDs. It creates this beautifully synchronized, completely hands-free logging ecosystem. Now, I absolutely love this next feature because it completely bridges your software with the physical world. Let me just ask you, wouldn't you want your actual physical Shack to light up glowing red the absolute second WSJTX spots a rare call sign that you need? Or, I don't know, maybe glow a bright cyan when a brand new US state pops up on the waterfall? Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, you can actually do exactly that. The secret is repurposing these corporate VoIP status lights. SWLog ingeniously integrates with these little devices to give you physical, visual alerts for your DXing achievements. Let's quickly compare the 2 supported brands. First, you've got the Quando Busy Light. This one connects via a local web server, and it actually supports playing little sound clips right along with the flashing lights. On the flip side, you have the Embrava Blink Light, which is a much more direct plug-and-play USB option that strictly handles just the lighting. Whichever route you choose, it adds this incredibly fun, totally physical dimension to your digital hunting. And you know, speaking of physical feedback, SWLog totally gets that sometimes you just really miss the tactile feel of a real physical radio. So you can actually map standard USB tuning knobs like the Griffin PowerMate or maybe the ICOM RC28 directly into the software. This means you can smoothly scroll your way through SWLog's 4 software-defined VFOs just by spinning a physical knob sitting on your desk. It is the perfect marriage of having massive PC control while keeping that classic, comforting feel of traditional radio tuning. Finally, we absolutely have to talk about the AI assistant that is integrated right into SWLog. Get this, you can literally just type in a question using normal, natural language, and the AI will translate that into a complex SQL query for you. But here is the absolute most important part, especially when it comes to your privacy. That query runs entirely against your local database. Your private logbook data is never sent out to some AI cloud server unless you explicitly go out of your way to click the Analyze Results button. And hey, if you're truly privacy conscious, you don't even need to use a cloud API like OpenAI at all. SWLog fully supports running completely free local large language models right there on your PC using a tool called LM Studio. Well, that brings us to the end of our build. Just think about the sheer power here, having your entire radio history locked into a robust SQL database, completely controllable over the web and interrogatable by artificial intelligence. It's a real game changer. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder today. How might an AI uncover hidden propagation patterns and trends hidden inside decades of your personal DX logs? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Go get out there, set up your own SWLog command center, and I guarantee you are going to see your radio hobby in a whole new light.